Massive MLB free play tonight is going down. Welcome everybody. I wanted to do the most in-depth breakdown of not only my strategy and my strategy going into NFL season, but obviously going into this sports season. So breaking down my strategy, breaking down a free play that I'm going to be giving you tonight, as well as some prior results, and pretty much giving you the most all-encompassing overview on exactly how we are going to be making money, not only just a little bit of money, the most money possible this season. So let's get right into it. Now, this video is obviously for August 24th. We have a free play going down in the Astros-Orioles game tonight. Now, first of all, how does my system work? I wanted to break down my strategy because this is probably the most in-depth strategy that I have ever seen somebody go into detail on. This is an algorithm that I have built over the past, I want to say, few years now. I've hired an exceptional team of developers, ex-Vegas line makers, and consulted with so many people to come up with this system. And I wanted to break down exactly how this system works so that you guys can learn something about how profitable sports betting actually looks. So first and foremost, the concepts, the overarching ideas on how this strategy is built is we're following the sharp money and the smart money, most importantly, because not for the line movement's sake, but because they often have insider information and superior analysis. And when they place bets, they move fast, they place they put massive amounts of money on these plays, and they move the lines. So the way that we like to identify this is, I'm not sure if you guys are very familiar with the trading space, but in trading they have what's called the unusual options flow, and they have a pretty much liquidity stream of every single trade that's coming into the market at any given time. And when there is a trade that's abnormally large or abnormally small, there is often a story behind that. And usually the abnormally large ones are the only ones with a considerable story, because either insiders are making moves or somebody that knows something and has access to some sort of data or some sort of analysis, they are placing bets, and usually massive bets, on exactly what thesis they believe in and what idea that they believe in to be true. We are doing the same thing with sports betting. There are professionals who have access to insider information that nobody else has access to, and they're placing massive bets based on this insider information, and we are following them because chances are they often know something that we don't, and it's in our best interest to follow what they're doing. So again, we're following the smart money. That's obviously step one. Step two is we are detecting the line movement, right? When these sharps are placing these massive bets and when these people with insider information are locking in these massive plays, they are oftentimes moving lines. So this indicates that the sharp money is active and relevant, and this is something for us to keep our eyes on. Then finally, we are confirming the signal, because it's not just enough to have sharp money coming in and detecting line movement. It's also extremely important to confirm the signal. So we need to verify using 8 different factors to ensure it's genuine sharp action, obviously not just a random fluctuation. So we confirm that. I'm going to go into those 8 factors a little bit later in this video. And then finally, we calculate the specific edge behind every single bet. So we are calculating all of the statistics, and I'm going to go into the statistics for this example, this free play, to just show you guys exactly what's going on. Now, why does this work? Obviously, we have an informational advantage and we have superior analysis because, again, we're not really going off line movement. Line movement is just one of the things that we're taking into consideration here. We're more often than not following what the insiders are doing, because when the insiders are making a play and when the insiders know something that we don't, it's in our best interest to follow what they're doing so that we can capitalize on the same edge that they are. Now, a real-world example of this is at 9 a.m. a line opens up at Houston plus 125. Now, a sharp book moved the line to plus 120. Retail books then follow to plus 118. The public is still backing Baltimore 68%, and we get Houston at plus 120. This is just an example. I'm going to go into all the in-depth statistics, to back this up. The bottom line, though, is that we are obviously not trying to predict games because we are following the smartest money in the market, and we're getting better odds than the sharp bettors paid. So we're using the same math and data, not gut feelings, and we have a historical win rate of 65.4% across all of these signals. So let's just get into why smart money matters. Now, there is a key historical significance to why smart money is something to follow, because sharp money and sharp books will move first. Pinnacle, Circa, BetOnline will lead the line changes after these sharp players have come in and placed their bets. Then multiple books will move within minutes of each other, and these lines will move opposite to where the public is betting in certain situations. Now, also, another thing that we keep a very close eye on is high velocity moves. So rapid line changes will often indicate urgency in the sports books methodology on basically how they're moving these lines. Now, let's go through some historical performance, right? We have a 65% win rate on steam moves. We have a 70% win rate on sharp lead plays. We have a 64% on contrarian setups with a combined ROI of 18.3%. Now, win rates, obviously, as you can see, this is kind of mimicking this data down here. But why, again, does this work, right? Obviously, professional bettors have superior information. They have insider information, and that's something that we're following. They're betting large amounts, moving the lines extremely quickly. And the public typically will make bets based on all sorts of random things, favorites, overs, just whatever they feel like, because they're not very smart and they don't treat this like a business. However, smart money will exploit these very predictable biases. So we're identifying the bettors that have superior information, and we are exploiting the people who have no information and that are just gambling and guessing. Now, let's go into some line movement fundamentals, because this is kind of the first stage in the system. Like, why are we looking at line movements, and why is this important? So an example of this is large wagers from sharp bettors will move lines. And also, new information will move lines, injuries, lineups, etc. Those will all move the lines depending. Now, line movements reveal where smart money is going and where sharp bettors are placing their bets, and it oftentimes reveals it in very small yet important fluctuations, because, again, sharp books will move first, and the speed and the coordination will indicate the confidence of how exactly these books are moving. So a visual example of this would be, Pinnacle, for example, having Houston at plus 120, Baltimore at minus 140, and obviously Pinnacle and Circa being sharp, and DraftKings being a retail book. Now, this was 4:42 p.m. Eastern time. Now, after sharp money enters the market, we see Pinnacle and we see Circa move their lines to plus 118, minus 138, and obviously those are both the sharp books once again, yet DraftKings is still lagging behind at plus 120, minus 140. Therefore, we can then indicate that these sharp books are really on top of the market. They have obviously large wagers from sharp bettors coming into play. These guys often have insider information, and the lines move accordingly. Now, after, as we can see from the timestamps, 440, 445, line moves. 450, DraftKings still has the line, and then DraftKings at 455, 15 to 20 minutes later, moves the line up to where the sharp books had it about 20 minutes earlier. Now, this indicates to us, now, again, super, super important concept to understand, guys. This is indicating to us, we're not trying to catch these small little line movement changes. We are trying to catch what sharp bettors are placing and what their thesis is on for specific games, because this will indicate to us and give us kind of a window of capitalization to basically say, where are these guys placing their bets, and how can we look at what they're doing and follow in their footsteps, because they often have insider information. Now, again, that's just not enough alone to make an educated decision, and I'm going to put $10,000 or $20,000 behind. We need the 8 factors that identify smart money, because that's the concept of this system. It's identifying smart money and following it. So the 8 factors are move velocity, cross-book dispersion, reversion, time to start, the Z move, sharp lead, price advantage, and convergence. And I don't want to bore you guys to death with all these details and data, but once again, you are taking into account all of these to come up with a combined score for each factor. So tonight, for example, the UMF score, combining all 8 factors, is 78.3 out of 100. So it's in the top 5% of all signals. It's indicating a strong steam detected. 6 books moved across 8 minutes. Sharp books led the movement by 28 minutes in this case, and we have a 185 basis point edge identified. So confidence level is 8.5 out of 10. Now, as you can see, we have a nice little chart explaining each statistic and kind of showing where we are for this specific play. But for tonight, let's look at exactly what the data is and how all these factors come together. So current lines are here. The key situational factors in this case is obviously Houston's on a 3-game win streak versus Baltimore. Baltimore has significant bullpen fatigue, and we have some weather as well. We have some recent results. Obviously, the results, I'm not going to go too in-depth on this, but here let's get into the most important first step in our situation, which is line movement detection. So what does this line movement tell us? The sharp books moved first. Then we saw coordinated movement across 6 different books in 8 minutes. Again, we saw a steam move, which is the highest confidence move. And we saw Houston money coming in strong. Retail books obviously followed the sharp books after 8+ minutes. So timestamps, we see these books move first, then we see the retail books move after. Why does move velocity matter? In this case, why does that 8-minute statistic and why does the time window matter at all? I'm not going to go super in depth with this, but it matters because it indicates urgency from sharp bettors, because coordinated action across multiple books will signal confidence in this case. So if the velocity is over 2 historically, it wins at a 68.7% rate. Again, and just to show kind of this graph across the last 500 signals that's been alerted by this system, as you can see, the move velocity, the books divided by the minutes, the stronger the move velocity, the higher the win rate, right? So, again, let's go into some more details on the sharp book leadership analysis. Now here, we saw Pinnacle, Circa, and BetOnline move first, then we saw DraftKings and FanDuel move second. Now, why does this leadership matter? Because Pinnacle and Circa will cater to professional bettors. They accept higher limits, move quickly on sharp action, whereas retail books delay to limit exposure, and there was a 28-minute lead time before the retail books finally adjusted. So, again, the statistical edge in this case. When we see 0 to 5 minute, we see sharp lead times in the last 500 signals. When we see 20+ minute, we are getting a very high win rate, versus when we see 0 to 5 minute lead times, we are getting obviously a less optimal win rate. So, again, continue moving forward here. The UMF system output, so the raw algorithm data from this, we will see obviously all of our 8 statistics here. And again, I'm not going to go into extreme depth on each one, but this leads to a weighted combined calculation of 78.3, which is in the 95th percentile. So, continue moving. Factor analysis and velocity in the Z move. So, once again, we are taking into consideration all of these statistics. And once again, not going to go super in-depth on all of these, just kind of going to go through them at the quicker rate so you guys can get a feeling for what exactly we're doing. But once again, crossbook dispersion, sharp lead time, these are also specific factors that are into that, the 8 factors that we're considering after we get that initial line movement. So again, we're getting all of these different factors into play. On top of that, we have the public versus sharp money analysis. So we're seeing the public 32% on the Astros, 68% on the Orioles, whereas sharp money is 68% on the Astros, 32% on the Orioles. We're seeing this delta, and obviously why this matters, because public bettors typically favor home teams or favorites. Baltimore is the home favorite. Sharp money is going the opposite direction on Houston. Classic fade the public opportunity. Line movement is going against public betting, indicating this is a strong signal. Now, why do contrarian plays obviously work? Because the public doesn't really have a good understanding of the sports markets, and they don't understand exactly how the system is. You guys can read through this if you want, but we'll keep moving here to not make this video super long. Now, team performance analysis. This is also taken into consideration. Now, we obviously have all of the recent team results. This is all public data. Everybody knows this. But this is taken into consideration, obviously, because every data point is taken into consideration. So why does why does that statistical analysis matter? Obviously, there's specific signals that indicate certain strength in a specific play. Like market signals alone, 62% win rate. Statistical advantages are 58% win rate, yet combined 73.8% win rate. So tonight's play has both strong market signals and statistical advantages, because you want to take in both the stats and the market. So the market plus stats, and the algorithm will run simulations on what the stats and how the market and the stats are there's a big discrepancy between both of them. So obviously you don't want to take in just the market. You don't want to take just the stats. You want to also combine them to figure out where there is a mismatch in odds. Now, probability wise, this is where it gets interesting, because we're seeing Houston. The market is implying that Houston has a 45.45% win probability, and Baltimore has a 58.33% win probability. Right? The model has calculated that there is a slight difference in the market, what the market's implying, and obviously the true probability. So once again, The market is implying these probability, yet the true probability is 53.85%. So there's a 8.4% edge, which is an 840% basis point significance. So that obviously will give us then our expected value calculation, which is plus 0.7 units per unit wagered. So the market is undervaluing Houston by 8.4 percentage points based on our calculations versus what the market is implying. And on a historical ROI across an 800 plus basis point edge is 18.7%. So what that's saying is basically saying when we have an 8.4% point, when we have an 8.4% edge in this case, that would be an 840 basis point edge, which is in the top 12% of all signals. Our historical ROI on that large of an edge is 18.7%. So if we haven't gotten into it yet, we will continue to go through some historical analysis from this system. Obviously, the last 6 similar setups, we are 5-1 with the UMF ratings. As you can see, we have the UMF rating. The UMF rating, again, is combining all of those signals. The performance type, we have our win rates here, our ROIs. And tonight's signal classification is a steam move with contrarian value with a UMF score of 78.3, meaning a high confidence level, optimal units, about 2 to 3 units on this specific play. Now, similar scenarios, historically, this has been the win rate in the statistics. Now, tonight matches some of our highest performing signals. I'm going to keep moving forward here. Here's the edge visualization. So, again, market is implying I believe 50, and I will go back here, but the market is implying an edge, and the true probability is a lot higher of that edge, meaning we have about an 8.4% edge in this case. Now, risk assessments and position sizing, right? Tonight we're going to want to risk around 2% of our bankroll on the specific play. I don't think it's not worth about anything above that, and we don't want to obviously under risk on that play. So, what is the execution plan? Obviously, we need to get the bet in because the line is expected to move plus 115 or lower. As I mess up my presentation here, obviously the bet we're locking in is Houston Astros at plus 120 for 1.8 units. Now, confidence in this case is 8.5 out of 10. And with a $10,000 bankroll and an expected ROI of 18.3% per unit, our projected 90-day growth in this case would be $4,575. Now, what's important to note here is obviously I'm not only taking this play. This is the free play that I'm giving out to you guys to just show you a little bit about the model, show you a little bit about how the statistics work. But most importantly, this is not the only play. I have a whole slate of plays that I'm taking that all match specific and different characteristics of this strategy, which is basically, once again, the strategy overview is we're following the smart money, we're following the insiders and what they know. So we do that by detecting line movement, confirming the signal, and then calculating the edge. So that's exactly what we did. We saw the sharp movement, we detected the line movement, we confirmed the signal with our 8 factors, and now we obviously are locking in the play, which is Houston Astros at plus 120. So again, on a 90-day growth at this expected ROI per unit, we're making about 50% on our investment over 90 days, which is a pretty great return. I can't complain about that. Now, final recommendation obviously is Houston Astros. I've already locked in this play, so you guys can lock this in. Now, make sure you're locking in obviously as close as plus 120 as you possibly can. Now, also, I locked this play in on my funded book, not my normal book, because I'm using SportVest. Now, obviously here you can see I have a $234,000 account balance. And for those of you who are not familiar with SportVest, I can break it down exactly how it works. But once again, you are basically using funded money, not your own. So all you have to do to get access to SportVest capital, so you can obviously place bets risk-free, is obviously select a bankroll size that you would like to test for. You have to pass their evaluation where you prove that you are indeed a profitable bettor because they only want to tail profitable bettors. And then finally, you will get funded. Now, to pass the evaluation, you just have to hit 50 minimum picks and hit the profit target of 33% on the overall account balance. So again, I would highly recommend that you guys leverage SportVest money because once again, this is $230K that I'm able to use. As you can see, I have all of these funded accounts that I'm able to use. I'm working on a few evaluations as well. But I'm able to leverage their money to place all of my bets so that I don't have to place my own. And then as we can see, we can go over to my close bets. As you can see, we locked in a few plays, last night and over the past few days. Now, all of these wins that I've been able to accumulate have been able to happen pretty much risk-free. I'm able to use their capital, not my own. I'm able to obviously withdraw 70% of my profits when I do win. And the model works because they're in the business of funding profitable sports bettors and tailing profitable sports bettors. So if you are a profitable sports bettor and you have a good system, obviously like mine, then it's mutually advantageous for you to use their capital because you don't have to risk your own, and you get to withdraw 70% of the profits when you do win. So once again, if you guys have any questions about SportVest, I would highly recommend that you guys check out sportvest.com, grab a package, get funded. Now also, if you guys want to work directly with me, you want to tail my full slate, you want to obviously take advantage of everything that we have going on a daily basis, use the link down below and book a call with me. We can chat directly about your exact situation, how I think I could help, and provide you with obviously the best plan to move forward and help you win at the highest levels. So once again, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you want to get locked in with SportVest and get funded for your picks, I would highly recommend going over to sportvest.com, grabbing a package, and getting funded. And then we can also chat more. Click the link down below, book a direct call with me. We can chat in about exactly how I can help you achieve your sports betting goals with all of my systems and all my strategies. But again, we'll speak soon. Let's make some money tonight, and we'll chat tomorrow. Peace.